Let me be very clear right from the start, because this is where most people get it wrong when they talk about millionaires and spending money. Millionaires are not cheap and they are not afraid of luxury, but they're extremely disciplined about why they spend. They don't wake up thinking, what can I buy today to feel rich? They wake up thinking, what decision today increases my financial power tomorrow? That difference alone separates people who look rich from people who actually stay rich. When a millionaire looks at a luxury car, a penthouse apartment, or a five-star lifestyle, the first question is never emotional. It's mathematical, it's strategic, it's about cash flow, depreciation, tax treatment, opportunity cost, and long-term leverage. A Ferrari, for example, is not automatically a stupid purchase, but buying one with borrowed money while your investments are underperforming absolutely is. Millionaires understand that money is a tool, not a trophy. They don't spend to impress strangers. They spend to reward performance, optimize time, and sometimes, very deliberately, to reduce taxes. That's why you'll often see wealthy individuals driving expensive cars after they've built diversified portfolios of businesses, real estate, dividend-producing stocks, and cash-generating assets. The car comes last, not first. The lifestyle is a consequence, not a goal. And that mindset is what most people never grasp. Here's another hard truth people don't like hearing. Millionaires love luxury, but they hate losing money even more. A luxury apartment in New York, London, Dubai, or Toronto is not bought because it looks good on Instagram. It's bought because it's in a prime location, holds value, attracts elite tenants, or offers tax advantages. Wealthy people understand the difference between a luxury asset and a luxury liability. A $5 million apartment that produces stable rental income, appreciates over time, and can be leveraged for future investments is very different from a $5 million house that bleeds cash every month and ties up capital that could be compounding elsewhere. Millionaires don't fall in love with marble floors or skyline views. They fall in love with balance sheets. They understand that every dollar locked into a non-productive luxury item is a dollar not working for them. That's why you'll often hear wealthy individuals say things like, I don't mind spending money, as long as it keeps making me more money. Luxury is acceptable when it's efficient, defensible, and aligned with long-term wealth preservation. Anything else is just ego disguised as success. Another critical thing millionaires understand about spending is time arbitrage. They are willing to spend large amounts of money to buy back their time, but only once their income streams justify it. Private flights, luxury services, premium staff, and high-end tools are not indulgences, they're productivity multipliers. If a millionaire earns tens of thousands of dollars per hour, then paying for convenience is rational, not reckless. But notice the order again. The income comes first, the spending comes second. Most people try to reverse that equation. They adopt a luxury lifestyle before they've built luxury-level cash flow, and that's how they trap themselves financially. Millionaires calculate spending the same way investors calculate returns. If spending $10,000 saves them 100 hours a year, and those 100 hours can generate $200,000 in value, that's not spending, that's investing. This is why wealthy people appear extravagant on the surface, but are extremely conservative underneath. Every expense is measured against output. Every upgrade must justify itself financially. There is no randomness in how they deploy capital. Finally, millionaires are obsessed with sustainability, not just environmental sustainability, but financial sustainability. They think decades ahead, not months. When they design a luxury lifestyle, they ask one brutal question: can this lifestyle survive a downturn? Because real wealth isn't proven in bull markets. It's proven when markets crash, interest rates rise, and cash becomes king. Millionaires structure their spending so it can be maintained even when income fluctuates. They don't overextend. They don't max out approvals. They don't let banks define their lifestyle. If a luxury purchase threatens their ability to invest, save, or sleep peacefully at night, it's rejected, no matter how impressive it looks. This is why many wealthy individuals appear boring financially. They repeat proven systems, reinvest profits, protect downside risk, and delay gratification far longer than the average person. And once you understand this, everything changes. You stop asking, can I afford this? And start asking, does this strengthen or weaken my financial position? That single question is the foundation of how millionaires think about spending money. Now let's talk about luxury cars, because this is where emotions completely destroy financial logic for most people. Millionaires don't hate luxury vehicles, they hate bad timing. A Lamborghini, a Bentley, a Rolls-Royce can absolutely be part of a millionaire's life, but only when the purchase is irrelevant to their financial survival. The wealthy understand depreciation better than anyone else in the room. They know that the moment a brand new luxury car leaves the showroom, tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars evaporate instantly. That's why many millionaires either buy slightly used high-end vehicles, lease them through corporate structures, or write them off as business expenses when legally possible. The goal is never ownership for ego, it's efficiency. If a luxury car cannot be justified through tax optimization, branding, or time efficiency, it becomes nothing more than an emotional purchase, an emotional perch. Aces are poison to long-term wealth. What poor people do is buy luxury cars to feel successful. What millionaires do is buy them when success is already mathematically guaranteed. That distinction alone explains why so many people look rich but stay broke for life. The same disciplined thinking applies to luxury lifestyle spending. Five-star hotels, private clubs, exclusive memberships, premium experiences. Millionaires absolutely enjoy these things, but they enjoy them without financial stress. They don't swipe credit cards, hoping future income will cover today's indulgence. They spend from surplus, not from hope. There is a massive difference between I can afford this and this doesn't affect my financial trajectory at all. Millionaires aim for the second condition. That's why you'll rarely see truly wealthy individuals chasing trends or flexing on social media. They don't need validation. Their confidence comes from liquidity, diversified assets, and control. When they sit in a luxury hotel suite overlooking the city, they're not thinking about the price tag. They're thinking about the deals they close, the investments compounding quietly in the background, and the optionality their wealth provides. Luxury for them is a side effect of discipline, not a substitute for it. Another critical element of how millionaires think about spending is control versus consumption. Most people consume luxury. Millionaires control it. They negotiate everything. They understand pricing power. They ask for better terms, upgrades, tax advantages, bundled value. They don't assume luxury means overpaying. It means precision. Whether it's buying high-end real estate, investing in luxury developments, or entering elite financial networks, they always maintain leverage. And leverage doesn't just mean debt. It means information, timing, and optional exits. Millionaires never trap themselves financially. Every major purchase includes an exit strategy. Can this be sold easily? Can it generate income? Can it be refinanced? Can it be repurposed? If the answer is no, then the purchase is heavily scrutinized, no matter how attractive it looks. This is why wealthy individuals survive financial crises while others collapse. They don't lock themselves into rigid lifestyles that require constant high income just to stay afloat. What most people misunderstand is that millionaires are not driven by luxury. They are driven by freedom. The real luxury is not the car, the apartment, or the watch. The real luxury is choice. Choice to walk away from bad deals. Choice to say no. Choice to wait. Choice to invest aggressively when others panic. That's why millionaires are extremely cautious about recurring luxury expenses. Monthly obligations are treated like enemies of freedom. If a luxury lifestyle creates fixed costs that reduce flexibility, it's redesigned or eliminated. This is also why wealthy people love scalable spending, expenses that don't rise linearly with income. They build systems where income grows faster than lifestyle, not the other way around. And once that gap widens, luxury becomes effortless. It no longer threatens the system, it becomes absorbed by it. So when you look at how millionaires spend, stop focusing on what they buy and start focusing on when and why they buy it. They delay gratification longer than anyone else, but once they move decisive, easily and intelligently. They don't rush, they don't chase, they don't prove, they calculate. And that's why their spending habits look boring during the building phase and extraordinary during the harvesting phase. If you want to think like a millionaire, you must stop asking how to afford luxury and start asking how to design a financial engine so powerful that luxury becomes irrelevant. That's the mindset shift that changes everything. The reason millionaires think so differently about spending is because they are obsessed with structure, especially when it comes to luxury real estate and long-term lifestyle design. A luxury apartment, whether it's a Manhattan high-rise, a London penthouse, a Dubai waterfront tower, or a prime property in Toronto, is never just a place to live. It's a financial instrument. Millionaires analyze location, demand elasticity, rental yield, currency exposure, tax residency benefits, and exit liquidity before they ever look at interior design. They understand that luxury real estate behaves very differently from average housing. Prime assets attract global capital, survive downturns better, and recover faster after crises. That's why wealthy individuals often prefer smaller, ultra-prime properties over massive homes in secondary locations. They don't buy size, they buy scarcity. Scarcity protects capital. Scarcity attracts wealthy tenants and buyers. Scarcity gives leverage, and leverage is everything. A millionaire will happily live in a $3 million apartment that generates income or appreciates steadily rather than a $6 million house that drains cash and locks them into a fixed lifestyle. Again, the theme is control. They want optionality. They want the ability to pivot, relocate, refinance, or liquidate without destroying their balance sheet. What most people fail to understand is that millionaires build their lifestyle on top of passive income, not on top of salary. Salary is fragile. Businesses fluctuate. Markets move. That's why wealthy individuals design spending systems that are insulated from volatility. Dividend-paying stocks, private equity distributions, royalties, licensing income, rental cash flow. These streams exist specifically to fund lifestyle without touching principal. When a millionaire spends money, they often do it from returns, not from capital. That's a critical psychological and financial difference. Spending principal feels painful to them. Spending yield feels logical. This is also why they are patient. They will wait years to upgrade their lifestyle until the numbers justify it. They don't rush into luxury because they understand compounding rewards patience more than almost any other behavior. Every delayed purchase strengthens the machine. Every reinvested dollar widens the gap between income and expenses. And once that gap is wide enough, luxury becomes sustainable, repeatable, and stress-free. Another element that separates millionaire spending from everyone else is tax strategy. Taxes are the single largest expense for high earners, and millionaires are laser-focused on minimizing them legally. Many luxury purchases are evaluated through a tax lens first. Can this be depreciated? Can this be expensed? Can this be owned through a corporation or trust? Can it reduce taxable income while preserving lifestyle quality? This is why wealthy people often appear to live better while paying less tax proportionally than high-income employees. It's not cheating, it's understanding the rules. Luxury vehicles, properties, travel, even certain services can be structured in ways that align with business activity and investment strategy. Millionaires don't blindly spend, they engineer outcomes. They sit with accountants, lawyers, and advisors before making major decisions. Every luxury choice is integrated into a broader financial architecture designed to preserve wealth across decades, not just years. Then there's the role of networks and environment, which is an invisible but incredibly powerful aspect of millionaire spending. Wealthy individuals will spend aggressively to enter rooms where deals happen. Private clubs, elite conferences, exclusive communities, these are not social flexes, they're deal pipelines. A single conversation in the right environment can be worth millions. That's why millionaires don't view these expenses as consumption, they view them as access to capital, access to opportunity, access to information before it becomes public. Poor thinking says, that's too expensive. Rich thinking asks, what's the return on proximity? Being surrounded by disciplined, intelligent, capital-rich individuals reshapes decision-making. It raises standards. It accelerates learning. Millionaires understand that environment compounds just like money does. So they invest in it intentionally. And here's the final truth most people never accept. Millionaires are brutally honest with themselves about lifestyle inflation. They know that uncontrolled spending kills more wealth than bad investments. That's why they design ceilings for lifestyle expenses. Then, as income grows, they don't let spending scale automatically. They decide deliberately. They test upgrades slowly. They measure stress, complexity, and distraction, not just cost. If a luxury upgrade complicates life without adding proportional value, it's removed. Simplicity is a hidden luxury among the wealthy. The more wealth they build, the more they protect focus. They want fewer decisions, fewer obligations, fewer dependencies. That's why real millionaires often live quieter lives than people expect. Their spending is intentional, optimized, and aligned with long-term freedom. They don't chase luxury, they let luxury chase them after the system is complete. At the highest level, this is where millionaire thinking about spending becomes almost philosophical because it's no longer about enjoyment, it's about legacy. Truly wealthy individuals don't just ask, does this purchase make sense for me? They ask, does this decision strengthen or weaken my financial bloodline? That's a completely different operating system. Generational wealth is fragile. It is destroyed far more often by uncontrolled spending than by bad markets. Millionaires understand that wealth is built slowly, protected aggressively, and spent carefully. That's why even extreme luxury, private jets, supercars, mega mansions, only enters the picture when it no longer poses any risk to the family's long-term capital base. The ultra-wealthy often follow an unspoken rule: if an expense cannot be sustained for decades without changing behavior, it doesn't belong in their life. They design spending that survives recessions, political instability, interest rate shocks, and market crashes. They don't assume good times will last forever. They plan for chaos. That's why when downturns hit, millionaires don't panic, they deploy. while others are selling assets to maintain lifestyles. The wealthy are buying assets at discounts because their spending was never fragile to begin with. This is also why millionaires separate identity from consumption. They do not become their lifestyle. Their confidence is internal, not purchased. Watches, cars, homes, these are interchangeable to them. What matters is control over time, capital, and decisions. This detachment is what allows them to make rational spending choices even at very high levels of wealth. They can downgrade instantly if needed because their self-worth isn't tied to appearances. That psychological independence is rare, and it's why wealth stays concentrated among a small group of disciplined individuals. Most people lose money the moment they start using spending to signal status. Millionaires already know their status. It's reflected in their balance sheets, not their wardrobes. That's why they spend quietly, privately, and often invisibly. The loudest spenders are almost never the richest people in the room. Another critical dimension of millionaire spending is risk insulation. Wealthy individuals actively avoid expenses that introduce fragility into their lives. They dislike fixed obligations that require constant high income. They dislike debt that cannot be restructured. They dislike lifestyles that depend on perfect conditions. Instead, they prefer modular spending, expenses that can be turned on or off without consequences. This flexibility is a strategic advantage. It allows them to adapt faster than everyone else. When opportunities arise, they have liquidity. When markets collapse, they have patience. When uncertainty increases, they have optionality. This is why millionaires obsess over cash reserves and low fixed costs, even while living luxurious lives. Liquidity is power. Liquidity is peace. Liquidity is opportunity. Spending that reduces liquidity without increasing long-term returns is viewed as dangerous, no matter how attractive it looks. At the extreme end of wealth, spending becomes a form of capital allocation rather than consumption. Millionaires fund ventures, back founders, acquire assets, and build platforms that outlive them. Luxury shifts from objects to influence. They spend money shaping ecosystems, education, technology, healthcare, real estate, infrastructure. Even personal spending reflects this thinking. They invest in health to extend productive years. They invest in privacy to protect focus. They invest in security to reduce downside risk. These are not flashy expense, but they generate enormous returns in longevity, clarity, and control. This is the level where spending and investing completely merge. Money is no longer something to enjoy, it's something to deploy with intent. And this brings us to the ultimate truth about how millionaires think about spending money. They never let spending dictate behavior. Their system comes first. Their principles come first. Their strategy comes first. Everything else is negotiable. They don't ask permission to enjoy life, but they also don't let enjoyment sabotage the machine that gives them freedom. That's why millionaire spending looks boring during the climb, disciplined during the peak, and almost invisible during legacy building. They understand that the real luxury is permanence, the ability for wealth to survive beyond one lifetime. If you truly want to think like a millionaire, stop obsessing over what rich people buy and start obsessing over what they refuse to buy, because wealth is preserved far more by the things you say no to than the things you say yes to.